All right, so welcome. I'm here, Joe, and on the other side of the computer, we have Tommy joining
Tommy,
us for
yeah.
our
Welcome
first ever
to AOE
historical
history
historical
cast.
AOE reenactment. Yeah, so
Yeah.
the idea here is that we wanted to take our beloved game here, Age of Empires, and talk a little bit about the history of some of the civilizations that you can play as in this game. So, for those of you joining us who have played Age of Empires before, you kind of know what's going on in terms of how this game works and how the different civilizations work. For those of you who are maybe new to the game or not as familiar to it, with it, basically it's what we call a real-time strategy game, and
Mhm.
you have all these little people that you can see here, little villagers going around making houses, chopping wood, collecting turkeys that you can eat, and you build a civilization. So I have my Eagle Scout going around to explore the land around me. We forgot to team together, which is not
Oh,
great.
did we?
So we're on opposite sides of the map. So we'll have to
Oh,
figure
okay.
that out. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, it'll be fine. We'll work through it. And yeah, so you see here, that's kind of the idea. And you build up your civilization, and then you battle other civilizations.
That is the
And
essence of
so
Age of Empires.
Yeah, and so today we decided to do a bit of a historical-esque-ish reenactment, and we are playing as the Aztecs against the Spanish, which should be pretty interesting because we're playing. Tommy and I are playing the AI, a computer player, on the hardest difficulty,
Yes.
because we want to, as much as we can, sort of not reenact, but um, kind of reenact or
Sort of
take a look at
reenact, relive,
take
examine.
yeah take yeah examine, not so much. I mean, I should preface, this is not a history lesson per se. We do bring history to the table, but we're really playing this for fun. This is for entertainment value, purely or mostly.
Right.
But Tommy, you are a history academic, are you not?
I suppose, yeah, you could call it that.
Yeah, and I am a professor, so I'm into nerdy stuff like this.
So we're
So
not
yeah, we
derelicts, I
figured.
guess. We
Yeah,
don't know
no. So we'll
everything,
talk a little
certainly,
bit.
but
Yeah,
hope you
we'll
learn
talk a little
something
bit
at
about the
least.
Aztecs, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit about the Spanish, and hopefully try to turn the tables on Cortez, who is actually labeled as the other player here, as the
Yeah, that's
Spanish
right.
player.
That's a little frightening.
I did not. Yeah, I did not expect that or know that it was going to do that. Honestly.
Uh, that's a little
Yeah, and I
foreshadowing if I've
apologize.
ever seen it.
Yeah, we're gonna try to turn the tables, but it
Yeah,
might be
so
too
we're
late.
playing against the hardest AI. I mean, we typically play against moderate AI, and if you're not playing against moderate AI at least, you really shouldn't play online against other people. So we're really
Yeah,
not
because
like,
they're
great players. We're definitely
yeah.
not beginners. We know the like some build orders and what to do, how to counter certain
Yeah.
things, but against like a hard I don't know.
Having said that, I've already botched everything. Anybody who has played Age of Empires or does play Age of Empires is watching this right now saying, like, this
Like,
dude
what
does
are you
not know the
doing?
definition of a build order. Yeah, like, so for those of you who may actually play Age of Empires, like, I am aware of how poorly I've started this game.
Yeah.
Like, I built my houses in the back of
Yeah.
of the map. Like, I mean, the barracks placement is all right, I guess, but I'm already doing some pretty severely noob moves. Like, I'm not luring boar.
I know. I'm just starting to
It's
do
a
that
mess.
now.
It's a mess.
It is a mess.
But anyways, yeah. So we're just trying to have fun with it and talk a little bit of history, because I do know some history, and I know you know a lot of history. And I think it's interesting how a game like this kind of, in some ways, does at least an entertaining job at pointing to some of the historical differences between certain types of civilizations. So, you really have a full spread of civilizations from around the world here.
Oh, absolutely. They cover everything.
Yeah.
Even with the latest expansions, they'll go into the Southeast Asian area. They'll go African kingdoms. I mean, they start off with Age of
Yeah.
Kings, obviously. That's like most of the European and Western civ. But they've
Yeah.
expanded a lot.
Yeah, so there certainly are a lot of matchups that you can do, right? A lot of different types of matchups.
Right.
And we decided for the first one here we were going to do kind of a well-known historical classic, I feel like, in a lot of ways, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this. Yeah. So our plan for this series is to match up civs that have historically faced each other in the past. We have a running list of future episodes and ideas. So, as Joseph said, this is going to be the first installment of Spanish versus
You call me
Aztecs.
Joseph?
I did. I did.
I don't like it.
I don't either. I don't know. I kind of stopped myself halfway through.
So, why don't you tell us a little bit about Oh, I'm getting attacked by jaguars. Crap.
Uh-oh. I mean, better jaguars than Cortez.
Well, that's always true. And I got Loom, which there you go. That's not.
I do
a new
also.
move.
I'm clicked up to the feudal age now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're in the feudal age.
Of course I am.
So a little bit about the Aztecs. So I mean, I don't know how far back you want me to go, but they do, or researchers have said that Native Americans, even in South America, as far south as that, got to those continents many thousands of years ago by traveling over the ice bridge between Alaska and Russia. Because they do say that most humanity came out of Africa, which, okay, that's great, but it kind of leaves you wondering, well, how the hell did they get to North and South America with a giant ocean? Well, they had that land bridge way back, and once that separated, there was basically two worlds. There was the old world, Europe, Asia, Africa, the known world, and then what they call the New World, which is the Mesoamericas. So the Aztecs, they weren't around very early. They came a bit later, relative to other nations that were already there. But they began as a tribe, sort of, I don't want to say in America, but near there. And they were obviously originally hunter and gatherers, like most of them were at that time. Sorry, I'm trying to micromanage my villagers. This isn't as easy as it looks, unless you're a really good player, which I'm not. So they were hunter and gatherers. They appeared in the 13th century in Mesoamerica, and they traveled or migrated down to the south central area or region of Mexico. So
Wait, who is this? The Aztecs?
this was the Aztecs. Fun fact, the Aztecs weren't called the Aztecs. We gave them that name much, much later. They were
That's
originally
interesting.
known as the Mexica. The Mexica people. So Mexican without the N, basically. So they were originally called that, and they traveled down into the already pretty populated area of Mexico. I mean, it wasn't super populated yet, but there was already a lot of the land eaten up and taken up by city-states of different tribes. So there was always kind of tribal conflict going on with them, or amongst them, for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So they were always kind of jostling for dominance and had small-scale wars going on and all that good stuff. But they actually convinced a king. I'm going to butcher a lot of these names. I'm just prefacing that in advance.
That's more than reasonable.
I probably should have prefaced that earlier. But so that tribe of the Mexica convinced the king of Culhuacan, which was a small but important city-state in central Mexico. They convinced the king to give them. It does sound made up, but they convinced him to give them a plot of land that was farmable, because, like I said, most of the lands were taken up, and all the lands that were left for taking were pretty inhospitable, not very good, not fertile for farming and all that good stuff.
Not great.
Not great, exactly. I gotta start building more stuff. I'm getting lost in the history.
You're doing good. You're building villagers. I just lost a villager to a boar.
Oh boy. I don't mean to bore you.
Nah, it's all good. That's pretty good. That's not bad.
It's something. Oh no,
I don't mind that. So.
Sorry. So they convinced the king of Culhuacan to allow them to settle. So they settled there, and the Mexica, the Aztecs, were basically their mercenaries. They acted for them. They were like, they would attack other villages as they saw fit and all that. So they were
Right.
like their military basically. So the king decided, okay, I'll send my daughter over to this province to like oversee them and rule them. You know, make sure they're, you know, being and acting in my best interests.
Hmm.
Of course, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Aztecs at all, or they are very big on human sacrifice. And spoiler alert, that's basically what they did to that king's daughter. They decided to take
Oh,
her,
really?
flay her skin off, and sacrifice her to the gods to appease them. And needless to say, this kind of upsetted that king. So he decided to go full-scale war against them and push them out of the territory he provided to them. Now, once they got pushed out, they were chased by that king to a they were chased to Lake Texcoco or something like that.
What do you got?
That's
Notes here?
basically what?
You got
I
notes
do
here?
have notes. I do have notes. I can't remember all these names. Are you kidding me? So that lake is the lake where their capital city was built. I don't know. Can you pronounce it? I have a difficult time
Oh,
pronouncing it.
Teotihuacan.
Sure, that one. Yes.
I don't know if
Oh.
that's a Spanish name or an Aztec name.
I think it's Aztec. It might have been spelt differently, and it's been changed over the years. But I think the root was Aztecian. I made that up.
Aztecian.
So they
Oh, that makes sense.
they retreated to that island in the middle of the lake, and they built a stronghold there. And legends have said that there was an eagle that landed on a cactus in the middle of that island, and they took it as a sign from their gods to build an island nation there. So they started building that city right there.
Oh.
So in the year 1325, that led to the establishment of Tenochtitlan, or however you want to pronounce that. Once again, I apologize for my pronunciation. But so they were like wicked warriors. They were not gonna take shit from anybody. They were military, civ, all through and through, and they just weren't having it. And man, I gotta build some barracks.
I'm actually doing pretty good. I'm pressuring them
See,
at
you're
home.
pressuring them. That's good. That's good. Keep doing that.
I got their town center garrisoned. Oh shit, they're in the castle age. Never mind.
Ooh, that's not good.
No, it's not great. It's not great at all. But I got them off their wood line.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I got them off their wood line, and I got them off their gold. And I'm building a barracks over by them. So I got some forward pressure, but I don't think it's going to last long.
I mean, any kind of pressure at this point is going to be good, so keep at it.
That's what I figure. Well, they're off their gold. I'm thinking of towering it, too.
So that's funny. My notes were leading me into saying that they were crazy warriors, super strong, until the Spanish showed up. So that was very good timing.
Oh, so we pulled the old switcheroo on them.
Pretty much.
I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with switcheroo.
Sure.
Yeah, that sounds all pretty good. I didn't know necessarily all of that history, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a little, things here and there. It's not absolutely necessary to know about them, but I just think
Yeah.
it's interesting stuff. I mean, that's a really fascinating thing about history. There's a lot of little things and stories you don't ever have the chance to hear in school. Unless you have like a really cool teacher that just usually they'll be a nerd and they'll know something crazy and it's like, oh wow,
Right.
I never knew that, and probably never would have if you didn't tell us.
Oh, yep, they're playing on hardest.
Uh-oh. They got
I
a
tried
castle?
I tried to tower their golden wood, and
No.
they threw up a castle.
No way, dude. That's not gonna fly.
So the Spanish have put up a castle on us, or well, it's a defensive castle for them, but
Yeah, it's not.
that's a really well placed castle.
Yes.
So that castle protects their gold mine, and it also helps protect their wood line. So that was
clicking up the castle age now. I'm a little
Oh,
nervous.
yeah. I might speed this up a little bit. I'm gonna move this up to
Little
normal speed.
nervous.
Yeah. So I started it on slow speed. I know that's not something that normally you would ever do as a it's a pro player or anything.
Oh
but
man. Oh yeah, they're attacking me.
are they really?
Yeah.
Um,
Scouts attacking me.
See, now I have nothing to counter their. I lost that forward villager. That's brutal. I have nothing to counter their what do you call it? Their castle right now, because you need siege weapons really to counter their castle. But
Yeah.
their villagers are fighting back though.
I
They
know.
got
I
some
just
tough-
killed their scout with
Oh.
a villager.
And I see the first conquistador who's he's
This
he's
is not
riding
good.
around.
So we're playing on the hardest difficulty because we're really not expecting to win. We're kind
not
of playing
expecting to
the
win at all.
role of what really happened.
Well, we're not gonna let history repeat itself. We're going to
At least put up a fight.
well, that's why we picked 2 Aztec teams versus this 1 Spanish team. So we should have them outnumbered. Much
Theoretically.
like, well, this is much like, how did he kill my eagle warrior? So, oh wait, here they are. Much like, well, that's what happened historically. Was the Cortez showed up with some conquistadors and not a whole lot of them. I think like a few hundred or like not a ton. But I mean, we're talking about him going up against an empire of millions of dudes, you know?
Yeah.
I've been reading along those lines, Guns, Germs, and Steel. Have you read that book?
I did not. I watched part of the documentary years ago though.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating book.
It was very interesting. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's really about kind of like this whole like history of how we got to where we got in terms of civilizations over time, and just the different branches that people went in, starting from the Stone Age or like prehistory, like pre-writing and that sort of thing, and sort of where it goes from there, that sort of thing. And it goes all the way up into like, kind of like modern or not modern-ish era type stuff, but like how do you get to imperialism, for example? It's like,
Right.
It's not that just
Not overnight.
yeah, a few people decided to do it. It was a progression of things over time. So anyways, it's a really cool book. I'll probably link in the description because it's definitely worth checking out.
Definitely.
Yeah. But anyways, in the book, he spends a lot of time talking, or not a lot of time, but he spends a fair portion talking about the Colombian contact with Native American tribes, and how it's such a bold example of how devastating contact with other peoples can really be. And you see this with the Mesoamerican civilizations. I mean, you see it with all the Native American civilizations, but there's conquistadors in my base.
Uh-oh.
And I have nothing to defend against that, much like...
That's how it begins,
maybe
man.
Yeah, this is how it starts.
That's how it starts.
But it's really interesting to look at the case with Native Americans, because there's a few factors at work there. The perhaps the biggest one is disease. So
Oh, absolutely. That's actually one of the facts I have, that most of the
Yeah.
deaths did not occur from the Spanish. It was disease. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously many of us do know that most of these Native Americans, if not all of them, did not have any immunity against any of these European diseases. Why?
Yeah.
Because they were separated by an ocean. It was, as I
Yeah.
said earlier, different world, new world and old world.
yeah, and so essentially, in the case of the Aztecs, it's a similar case to what happened with Pizarro and the Incas, where they were really decimated by disease, and that kind of it doesn't explain how they were still toppled, because even when Cortez showed up, there were still millions of Mesoamericans. There was still a ton of people.
Oh yeah.
Yet, of course, that entire civilization essentially crumbled within a fairly short span.
Here's some quick stats. By the early 16th century, the Aztecs ruled over 500 small states, with a total of some to 5 to 6 million people under either conquest or commerce. So they
Wow.
either directly conquered, or traded with nearly that many people. So needless to say, they were the largest Mesoamerican city pretty much ever at that point. Even at that time, they were bigger than a lot of European cities.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's true, and the fact that they it really was a full functional empire in terms of their influence and their span and all that. And you don't think that so much when you think like Native Americans or you hear Native Americans necessarily, because so many of them are sort of their own individual tribes doing their own thing, you know.
right.
So yeah, in the case of the Aztecs,
Trying to wall off
the,
my area here.
I noticed that you got a lot going on here. That's good. We have a chance now. Let's go with that.
Yeah, that's what we have.
Well, my 2 eagle warriors on the front are still alive.
Well, that's good.
But I think Cortez is in my base. Oh, I took down one of his conquistadors.
That's
Oh,
good.
That's nice. Yeah, it's something.
Something.
One of my techniques is I've been doing lately, which is it's probably a pretty noob technique, but
Nah,
I
whatever
I
works.
just make a bunch. Well, I just make a bunch of houses everywhere.
That
'Cause
works.
I figure it's I figure it's distracting.
Yeah.
He already
I
scouted
mean,
away into my base though.
they're computers,
This-
so
this
they'll
sneaky-
start attacking. They'll start attacking all the houses before they even get close to you.
Yeah.
Usually.
I have some good quotes I want to read. I'll probably wait until I'm dying to read
Okay.
them, till it's hopeless, and I can focus on them. Because I have some pretty good quotes that I think really put into context, like how the Spanish worked, or how they fought, and how that plays into how they were able to kind of just dominate, just completely destroy a culture that was, or many cultures that were so different from theirs. And
Yeah,
I
they-
think that's it. No, go ahead.
They assimilated a lot of people.
That's
all I was
that's
gonna say.
one way to put it. That's definitely one way to put it. But yeah, it's fascinating in the sense that how you go from these fully functional empires to just utter devastation. You really have to look at specifically like, well, how do you do that? Like how much has to go wrong in order to get to that point, right?
Right.
And it's really not a lot. It's like the disease is a huge factor, obviously, but also if you read about how the Native Americans fought and how they fought the Spanish when they came, they really had no concept of how to fight them, and that sort of
No,
makes sense.
they
It's like
did not. If I'm, yeah, they didn't have horses, correct? They had never saw a horse before prior to the
Yeah.
Spanish, right?
yeah,
They
there were
thought they
there were no there were no real there was no
well, they were
and
like
it's
some
funny
sort
too
of
because
demon or something, right?
well, there are Native American tribes that became known for their horsemanship, like their horse riding and fighting in like Great Plains in North America, Native Americans. But
Early on.
yeah, but a lot of them, or all of them, they would have had no concept of how do you fight something like this.
Right.
Somebody not only on a horse, but somebody on a horse waving steel, which they also didn't have.
Yeah, steel
and
or iron.
boomsticks. Yeah, boomsticks too, which they also didn't have. So they had never seen it. So they had no plausible way to defend against that. And this is why you have stories where
Oh, bro, kill that monk.
where oh my god, he
Right out
stole
from
that
under
relic
you.
from me. Holy
I
cow!
watched it happen. I'm sorry to cut you off. It's just sad to see that.
Wow,
happen.
how did he do that?
He did it, bro.
That's impressive. That's really impressive. I gotta hand it to him.
That's Cortez
I'm
for
gonna
you,
go-
baby.
I'm gonna go monk hunting. But yeah, like these cases where these Spanish armies took down tens of thousands of people, and they didn't kill them all, but they would get them running, and then the panic ensues, and then it's
You just
just
run
it's
'em
over. So sorry, we had a bit of a glitch there, but we should be
back?
we should be back in business now. He's gonna steal that relic,
Which one?
all of them.
All of them. I forgot what I was just saying.
Yeah,
But we were
he
just
got away.
discussing about. Ooh. Hold on.
I forget what. Oh, I was talking
Okay,
about
there we go.
how they could take out, you know, a ton of. Oh, the conquistadors are coming.
I know they have one on my
They
base.
they could go up against, you know,
God, they're so fast.
they could go up against. Wow, they're just destroying my eagle warriors. They could go up against armies of tens of thousands of people with just, you know, like there's an example with Pizarro where he tried to meet with the Incan emperor or something like that, and the dude had like the Incan emperor guy had like I think 70,000 troops or something along those lines, and Pizarro basically went under the premise of like, oh, I want to meet with you and become, you know, discuss treaty or something like that, and he hid his troops the whole time during the meeting, and then when he decided, all right, it's time to turn on them, he did, and he killed a bunch of them, captured the king, and that was kind of the end of the Incan Empire. Like, that was it, basically.
Yeah, it was very quick. It was 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it was like because of that meeting that he lied about and just, you know, massacred the the army that was there because they didn't know how to react. Like, how do you react to people shooting guns on horses wearing metal when you've never seen any of those things?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, the horses and the iron.
Yeah, the horses.
Yeah,
and
a
the
lot
iron.
of new things came about between that, but that's a whole cultural diffusion thing of new things coming to civs. Like, obviously, the horses were new to the Native Americans.
Right.
I also had a little factoid that they actually introduced chocolate to the Europeans because they did not have that previously.
The Native Americans or specifically
The Aztecs.
Aztecs? Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. So I want to mention as well that there are some unique units here that are pretty cool. I don't know how historically accurate they really are, but I think they're kind of cool. They're certainly fun. So when you're playing as a civilization like the Aztecs, you have different units than the Europeans. Like we said, obviously you don't have horse units. In fact, cavalry units. You don't even have you can't even build a stable as a Mesoamerican civ in this game. And so to try to compensate that, you get some pretty interesting unique units. So one is an eagle warrior, and they're pretty fast. They're almost as fast as cavalry, I think. And but they work as like spearmen, so that's always useful against other cavalry, hopefully. And then for the Aztecs, you have jaguar warriors, which I think are really good against other infantry. I think that's their bonus.
I think they're an
attack bonus versus other infantry.
Anti-infantry.
In fact, since I'm probably going to be smashed anyways, I can show you the tech tree. Since I'm going to be destroyed anyways. And you can see, so each civilization, they have different attributes. In the Aztecs, infantry are listed as an infantry and monk civilization. Sort of makes sense. I mean, that's what they had going on, I guess. I mean, they were certainly big on infantry in terms of what I guess they would consider to be infantry. I mean, a lot of their weapons, since they didn't have steel, would have been clubs and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, it's as accurate as they can be. I mean, we don't have a lot of information on them, although they did keep really good records of a lot of stuff, like taxes, from taxes to sacrifices. They were on top of a lot.
They
had a bureaucracy.
I was going to say, did they have, like, written records?
They did, but there were a lot of hieroglyphic kind of type, because that was their alphabet, really. It wasn't like a Arabic alphabet like we had.
Yeah, I read a little bit about that in Guns, Germs, and Steel. But I didn't get to a point about, like, to what extent, what extent their writing system, you know, was different from, like, the writing systems that they had in Eurasia. Because they would have evolved independently. I mean, a lot of some writing systems do evolve or have evolved independently, but this I guess perhaps more so than some others. Guns, Germs, and Steel talks a lot about that. It's actually really interesting.
Does it?
Yeah, it has this whole chapter on language that I read like 2 times, and I still think I'm too stupid to understand what he's talking about. It's a really great book for anybody interested in history, like just in terms of the larger picture of how we get to where we are today. It does a really great job. It's really cool.
Who's that by again?
Jared Diamond.
Oh.
Yeah, he's still around, I think. The book was written in the late 90s, I believe.
Yeah, we watched the documentary, like, I don't know, it was way back when I was still in high school.
Oh, really? I didn't know that there was
Early
a
high school,
documentary.
freshman year, so it was a long, long time.
Yeah,
But yeah, there is. I guess it's based off of it.
nice.
You gotta get some monks built, bro, and you gotta get real walls up.
I'm just gonna keep building everywhere. That's my strategy right now.
You're going full Aztecs.
I
huh?
know it's not a real strategy. Like, they're gonna come steamrolling me hard,
I mean, something.
like any day now. But
I've got one relic.
I've made a few forays into their lands, I guess.
Oh, you do have a barracks built right there.
Yeah, they haven't attacked that barracks, which I'm very surprised by.
Just give it like 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's coming. It's definitely coming. But not yet. Not quite yet. So yeah, it's a fun game. Yeah. So again, I don't know how historically accurate it actually is. They have campaigns.
Nah, there's a lot of stuff that isn't historically accurate, but this game's very fun for anybody that's interested in history.
Yeah, that's my point too. Like I had this game. Game's like 20 years old almost now, but I think it really got me interested. I was always kind of interested in history, but I think it certainly, it helped foster my interest in history. Certainly.
Oh, absolutely. Me as well. I think we discussed that in the last episode, actually.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's it's definitely it's cool to be able to interact with history in a way like this, where yeah, it's not
Oh, absolutely.
it's not very realistic. I mean, obviously, all our villagers should be dead of smallpox, if this were historically accurate.
Yeah, I mean, that would, be a Spanish bonus tech right there. Smallpox.
Smallpox invasion. Yeah. No, you're right. But yeah, there are campaigns where it sort of you can recreate battles or replay battles or whatever, and I mean, again, it's not really historically accurate, but sometimes it is. Sometimes, from what I know.
Sometimes it is. I mean, I saw something on the shout out to the AOA2 subreddit on Reddit. Great community, good stuff.
Great guys.
But I saw a post of somebody complaining about the historical accuracy of one of the Joan of Arc campaigns.
Oh, really?
I forgot what the fact was or something. It was more in the prologue where it's kind of just reviewing what's going on, giving the historical context and all that.
Yeah.
And she says something, or the narrator says something that's not really completely true, and they were kind of ripping on it. But then I noticed someone commented that a lot of these campaigns are also based off of like the actual documents that they had at the time. So while it's not absolutely accurate, it's accurate to what they had at the time. So contemporarily, it's very accurate.
Well,
which I thought was pretty neat.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, also I wonder
Yeah,
too.
so it's not necessarily accurate by modern standards, but
I wonder as well
something.
if that's an interesting point, because I'm thinking now too, like, what if there's like new information that arises, right? Where it's like, oh, we didn't actually know this about this civilization, and then somebody else discovers something else. I don't know how much this actually happened. That's actually come up, but that's conceivable, I guess, right?
Absolutely.
Yep, I'm getting conquistador. They already have.
Snap.
They already have elite.
Get those walls
They
up.
already have elite conquistadors.
Get those walls up.
The walls are up. Yeah, it's not great. This is why my plan is to just build everywhere.
Look at his score compared to ours. He's double mine.
He's already at 10,000.
He's double mine.
I
man.
like my strategy here.
Oh my god.
I don't even have crossbowmen. I'm doing so bad. Well, I figure if
The only thing I could think of possibly countering that is called siege onagers.
well, I figure if I choke point them. Oh man, they're going for my walls. Siege onagers might not be a bad idea.
I'm working on that now. I also have a lot of monks.
Really? I wasn't even going for monks.
Well, I mean, they're a big part of their civ. So
You're right. Siege would be a really good idea right now because I have them like choke pointed here. But if I can get this castle up, it might not be too bad. They're coming with siege and monks though.
Oh my god, they're coming looping around, man.
Oh yeah, they're coming for me hard. Well, these crossbowmen will die. Oh, I'm trying to garrison crossbowmen and I'm messing up. They're gonna get this monastery with this relic that I just left out on a hill. I don't even have murder holes, so I can't protect this castle.
It's not looking good for
Should I
you,
get
man.
murder holes? Do I get murder holes? I do get murder holes. Okay.
I can send my monks over there. They're all gonna die, though.
I mean, we're all gonna die. Oh yeah, my castle's not doing too well. This siege workshop, I blocked it, or somebody died, I think. So yeah, it's oh boy, oh they're coming around.
Oh, they're looping around.
Yeah,
Oh, bro, you gotta close yourself off there.
all right, I'm fast walling.
Oh, no, they're just walking right in.
Oh,
Never
they
mind.
are? Wait, how'd they get in? There was a gap there? Oh
There's
shit.
a gap right there.
Oh,
That's not
I
great.
thought I walled it off. Oh, and here comes the.
Here come the conquistador.
All right, so I think this is a good time to read one of my quotes, as I should be microing.
As you can see, it's very futile.
To save myself. So what I have here is
Now-
I can play with one hand and quote with the other. Oh, they're trebucheting my my castle itself.
Oh, that's not good. Oh my god, they have rams. They have everything.
Yeah, they have everything. They have all of it. Well, I'm just gonna relocate in the south then. It's all good. I'm good. I got this. This is what the Spanish do. They steamroll you. You know.
They do.
But so I was looking back at this book that I've been reading, the Guns, Germs, and Steel, and
Yes.
it's really interesting how the Spanish thought of themselves and how they thought of themselves, you know, as really superior in a lot of ways. They're mining my stone. This is insane. How they really did think of themselves as superior. So I have a quote from Guns, Germs, and Steel, and I think it's a compilation of quotes by people who were with Pizarro at that meeting I was talking about earlier, where they wound up, you know, taking over. And so I'll just read the beginning. So this guy recorded that day in this way: the prudence, fortitude, military discipline, labors, perilous navigations, and battles of the Spaniards, vassals of the most invincible emperor of the Roman Catholic Empire, our natural king and lord, will cause joy to the faithful and terror to the infidels. For this reason, and for the glory of our God, our Lord, and for the service of the Catholic Imperial Majesty, it seemed good to me to write this narrative and send it to your Majesty. And then he goes on to say everything that happened that day, how it was God just, you know, deciding like that's how, you know, that's what's going on.
That's how it goes.
So it's interesting how they foresaw an event like that, and you know, subsequent conquerings of everybody as, oh, this is all God's work. You know, they're all dying of smallpox and, you know, to our guns. And it's like, no, you showed up with smallpox and guns and metal and horses. Like, what did you think was going to happen? Of course you of course you destroyed them all. So,
But that's kind of theme of every civ from every perspective throughout history. They were all kind of had their own religious figure, and they thought they were right. I mean, the Aztecs, like 2 or 3 years before Cortez even showed up, they recorded they saw a comet fly by, and they took that as like a sign from the gods that a bad omen was coming, like it was going to be the fall of the empire or something. I don't know why they thought that, but evidently 2-3 years later, that happened.
well, you know, I mean, people find reasons for what's happening, right? And
Yeah, that's right. I guess that's the idea.
yeah.
I'm getting there.
So, as I'm about to be steamrolled and destroyed, did you have anything else major before we all die?
No, I'm trying to put a last stand push here, but wow, yeah, you got steamrolled.
Yeah,
Holy shit!
it's over. I was gonna try to fight back, but I'm like, I'll just read quotes by Pizarro.
Oh my god, yeah, wow, they're really making moves. Okay,
I like your forward castle.
I'm trying.
So nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like dialed.
Well,
in
with that
now.
said, I think the Aztecs have had an unfair time of it. I mean, the Aztecs were brutal. They did brutally murder, sacrifice people a lot, and I think the tribes around them weren't too fond of them because they would capture other people and use them as sacrifice a lot of times.
Yeah,
But
that was
I think
big.
it's about time that the tables get turned on the Spanish here. So where there's
It was interesting. They play a lot of sports. I mean, a lot of sports that we know of today came from them. The most obvious is lacrosse. They used to use though. Oh my God, what are you doing?
what are you talking about?
They used to use the heads and skulls of dead as the ball. It's a little morbid, but they would do it. Also, where's that little thing? It's unsure. Historians aren't sure. It's questionable whether who would get sacrificed because it was supposed to be an honor to get sacrificed. Although, if you're getting people from neighboring tribes unwillingly to sacrifice, obviously they're not going to find much honor in that. So it's questionable if this is even true or not, but they're not sure who was being sacrificed after like a game. Like the winner would get sacrificed because it's an honor, or the loser would get sacrificed because they're a loser.
Right.
They're not really sure.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, at the last battle too, their last stand at that capital, it was oh my god, taking out my castle. 250,000 people died.
Wait, 250,000 of the Aztecs died?
250,000 of the Aztecs died. Yeah. Not only Aztecs because they had other tribes come in to try to help,
Really?
but yeah, I mean they called in a few because it was either A, they'd be like, oh shit, who are these Spanish people? These boomsticks on horses. Who are
Right.
these people? And they would try to do or help them out, try to kill the common enemy.
Right.
Or they would, oh my god, look at their bombard towers.
Where are their bombard towers? Oh my
Dude.
god. Oh my god. This is insane.
Sorry. What was I saying?
You're talking about bombard towers.
Is that what I was talking about?
No, you're talking about their last stand.
Oh. Oh, yeah, so either A, they would help, or B, they would side with the Spanish and then die from smallpox. So it was kind of a lose-lose for any Native American tribe.
Well, yeah. So what ended up happening was they did all lose essentially. I mean, this is where you get the whole what is it? What was it called? Open continent theory or whatever.
Yes. Yes.
So-
Go over that
So
for the viewers.
well, that was essentially. Ooh, they got hand cannoneers too now, which is a very
No, they're not long.
very
for long.
a very Spanishy thing to do. So the whole open continent. I think it's a colloquial term from the time, right? Sort of. This idea that
Yes.
the Americas are open to our colonization. So it's like our.
I mean,
that ties
it was
into like
originally
manifest
the
destiny.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the original Manifest Destiny. Exactly.
And it's this idea that
Oh man, it's still building forward.
it's this idea that the Americas are for us because they're empty, but it's kind of predicated on that idea, and it negates the fact that, well, as soon as you introduce smallpox to a population that's not equipped to deal with it, it sort of gets wiped out, right? And then you're left with whoever's left, and they can't defend themselves against further waves of what I'm doing here.
Yeah, your things. Your what are these guys? Cobra cars.
So, for
They're dealing some
anybody
damage
who's
to
been
me,
wondering
man.
what the
They
hell
almost
is
killed my
going on,
entire army.
yeah, for whoever's wondering what the hell's going on, I'm taking revenge upon Cortez.
He took the Aztecs to the dealer on the corner there
Yeah.
and rented some Cobra cars.
It's a fantasy age here, and I spawned some Cobra cars that happen to shoot machine gun pellets, and I'm wreaking my revenge on the Spanish here because it's about time. And even then, they're not going down easy. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. So this is a cheat code, obviously. This isn't a regular game thing, but I just thought it'd be really.
They're sticking in there, man.
He had 4 relics.
Jeez.
I
had the only other one.
Yeah. So I just thought it would be funny to use this because, like I said, I knew we were gonna lose. Like trying to explain about.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at my army right now, I'm marching them towards green. This is pretty much the extent of their army, minus skirmishers in this game. They had pikemen, they had some eagle warriors. I didn't throw any jaguar warriors in there, but their big emphasis is monks and siege.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's only so great until you go up against Spanish paladins and conquistadors and all the other gunpowder units that come with it.
Right, right.
So you can kind of just guess that it's not going to end well if Joe's Cobra cars weren't there.
No, so the Spanish are as equipped as they were with their guns, germs, and steel. They were not equipped to deal with Cobra cars. But you know what? Now they know what it's like.
It's true.
Because they have no way. They have 0 tools to fight this. Right?
I got a couple other little factoids. So we know, obviously, that they were very big in sacrifice. But did you know that they oftentimes would sacrifice dogs along with the person being sacrificed?
Why dogs?
So they would sacrifice the dogs because they thought that if they sacrificed the dog, that they would, the dog would help guide the individual in the afterlife as a companion.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah,
I mean, minus the
sacrifice. You realize
sacrifice.
they're just murdering dogs, yeah. But it's interesting though. You can see, like, it's a very odd justification that they would use for that.
Yeah,
Oh my God,
I
these things have such big range.
I had not heard of that actually.
Yeah, that was definitely a new one when I was doing research for this. They would often sell themselves or children into slavery as well to pay off debts.
Oh, you would like sell yourself? That was an option.
You'd sell yourself, yeah. But the slavery then, it wasn't really slavery as we know it in America at the time. It was more like indentured servitude.
Really?
So you could eventually theoretically work it off and then be a free person eventually again.
Is that for just the Aztecs?
So that was in play. That was in the Aztecs, but I mean, there's always exceptions to every rule. I'm sure if you weren't a true Aztecian. Oh my God, you're just mowing down my guys, bro.
I am?
Look how many guys you just murdered.
I killed your guys?
Look at that, yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Look at all those dead guys are because of your Cobra cars.
Well, you know. Oh, heal my Cobra cars, bro. Can you heal my Cobra cars? Where are they still living? They're like.
I don't know.
They're like ants. They're just like. I thought this would end quickly, but. Of course, Cortez.
They also had mandatory schools for boys and girls, although they were separated boys and girls.
Really?
But even the slave, quote-unquote slaves, children, would go to school. It wasn't limited to that. But as I said, there's exceptions to every rule.
Oh.
So if you were like from a different tribe, there he is. If you were from a different tribe, odds are you're probably going to be on the bottom of the fucking pyramid there.
So, as Cortez said...
Or at the top getting sacrificed.
What did Cortez say here in this chat?
He said, "Forsooth, the nearby boars grunted too loudly and frequently. No wonder thou wert victorious. I shall abdicate."
I agree. And by boars, he means Cobra cars. So.
Cobra cars.
I think we did a good job there, mixing our Cobra cars with our monks and pikes.
Yeah, I would have stood no chance.
Yeah.
With all my defenses I had. I mean, you were a clear example of that. There's nothing.
I wasn't off to. I mean, I did a lot of things wrong in this game. Obviously, clearly, obviously, yes. But I put some forward pressure on them, not in the right order or pacing or balance, but the idea was there at least. You had a much. It looks like you had a lot better stuff going on here. You were actually close to them
I
in
had a
score
good
by
spot.
the end. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Let's
had a
look
good
at the
spot.
achievements.
Wasn't terrible.
It says achievements weren't saved because cheat codes were used. I actually had the most kills because of my Cobra cars.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that kind of really skewed
But he had the
results
largest
here.
army. He had 80 dudes. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So
He also had twice as many villagers as both of us.
yeah. So
Oh my goodness.
that was good. I think we got some interesting content out of there, sort of.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I hope you, the listeners, if you're still listening, learned something new, something interesting. That's all you can really ask for when you're studying history.
I'll link some of these history
but-
text links to like where you can find out more about them in the description, because it really is interesting to see like
Yeah.
how impactful the whole Colombian
Absolutely.
event really
I
was.
mean, yeah, I mean, something like this, the Aztec civilization, maybe not directly, but a lot of the stuff in our culture today, we can derive from them.
Wait, like what?
You know? I mean, most obviously, there's like the sports they had, like lacrosse. We still play that. That's huge, at least, where we are locally.
That was an Aztec sport?
That was an Aztec sport. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier.
Oh.
They would play with the skulls, though, of people.
Well,
instead of
obviously.
lacrosse balls.
You have all those. Do you have all those
Obvious.
sacrificed heads? What else are you gonna do with them? Right? Yeah. There's a
There's
lot more
Also,
we
shout
can-
out to the movie Apocalypto.
Oh God.
Not very absolutely historically accurate, but a very entertaining movie.
That movie's insane.
And if you want to see like a sacrifice dramatized, that's the movie.
that
to
movie's
watch it.
insane. But we'll have more matchups. So I mean, let us know if there's anything
Absolutely.
in particular you want to see.
Yeah, comment some ones you'd like to see.
Yeah. We got a couple
you
others
know,
planned,
any-
so we'll see. But
Yeah. All right. Well,
yeah. So
stay classy.
yeah, Spanish won, Aztecs won now, and we'll see you for the next battle.
Yeah.
All right, later.